And we're back with our political panel. Ed, Senator Durbin said there was no political calculation in the Al Franken decision. Do you buy that?
No, not at all. It was a total political calculation. We know that the week before he resigned, he was already facing pressure from his colleagues who were asked to hold off, and that the morning that the final allegations surfaced, they all got together by email and text and phone calls and said, this is it, we got to do this. The party wants to make, the Democrats want to make a competency and professionalism argument in November, believing that that is the way they can take back the House and the Senate. They got to purge all these guys in order to do that, because you can't sit there and have alleged bad actors in your party if you're trying to suggest that you would run the government better. More broadly, I think viewers deserve to know this. It's no secret for those of us who cover Congress that we have all, in one way or another, been contacted by lawmakers or their aides in recent days, privately asking, what else do you have? Who's next? They are terrified of this storyline, and they know the consequences of it now could lead to much bigger problems for their party, maybe for a piece of legislation they're working on, maybe the chance of the party holding together through the elections. But members in both parties, aides in both parties, very concerned that more is to come. And look, I think it's safe to say more is to come. We don't know who exactly it will be about. It will be carefully reported. But it shows you that they are so scared now because they realize so quickly people are disappearing. And think about it. We saw a guy who served for more than 50 years kicked out. We saw the party's one of the party's top fundraisers kicked out. A social conservative warrior, Trent Franks, had to resign amid a lot of questions about his behavior. And we've never seen this kind of a purge, not since the Civil War.
Margaret, I want to switch to taxes here because this is a big thing that's happening too, and the president wants it signed by Christmas. What have you made of his salesmanship of the tax cut bill relative to health care? Because the tax cut bill, according to both the Quinnipiac poll this week and Gallup, has only 29% support in the country. This is a president whose key skill is as a marketer, but that's not very popular for that legislation.
Well, he's marketing something that seems to be different than what is the product he's selling. And the message from the president, even just on Twitter, his constant focus on the stock market, it appears to be that he sees stocks and corporate profits as a proxy for the success of this bill and ultimately his end goal, even though on the campaign trail and when he goes out to sell this, he's talking about the benefit to the middle class and to the working class who help to support him. And it's not clear that these pieces at this point add up to a benefit for those people. At this point, though, to say that this would be a boost to corporations, undoubtedly it would, to take the corporate tax rate from 35 down to 20%. But you're not legislating how a corporation spends those profits, right? You're not necessarily forcing income growth. You're not making that worker take home more pay as a result. You can't possibly force that. You also can't force broader employment. So this gamble of how this will ultimately pay off to the broader economic benefit of the country is something that the president seems to be focusing on, whether you call it trickle-down economics or something else.
Lanhee, what did you make of Senator Rubio, who said Republicans should go back and look at a 1977 speech by President Reagan, or not President, then Governor Reagan, where he said the Republican Party has to worry about having a country club big business image?
Well, yeah, I think there's a point that he's making right now. Senator Rubio and Senator Lee had an amendment to the tax bill that would have made the child tax credit fully refundable, which would have been a huge boon to lower middle class and lower income families. And unfortunately, that was voted down by the Senate. I think that point of view, though, suggests that what we're seeing in the tax bill now to Republicans, this is more of a feature and not a bug, right? That they're actually looking at lowering the corporate tax rate. This has been something Republicans, mainstream Republicans, have talked about now for years, if not decades. And so this is actually a relatively conventional tax bill. The difficulty in selling it, though, is how do you translate a corporate tax cut into what it means for the average middle class worker? There is a strong argument to be made that this tax bill is going to boost growth, which is going to boost wages, which is going to go into the pockets of middle class taxpayers. But that's not really the argument you're hearing. You're hearing this is a middle class tax cut. So there's a little bit of dissonance in the messaging that they're going to have to get straight. But I think that it won't inhibit them from getting this bill through and to the president's desk in a matter of weeks.
Molly, 30 seconds. Do you agree? And also, do Democrats have any opportunity here to take advantage of this tax process?
Well, if you believe the Democrats, they are extremely excited about the political opportunity afforded by this tax bill. It is, as you mentioned, very similar to what happened with health care, where Republicans were sort of between a rock and a hard place. They wanted to keep a campaign promise, particularly to their own base, that Republican primary voters who they told they were going to repeal Obamacare and reform the tax system. But the bill itself was broadly unpopular, and it really is not clear whether what was worse for them politically, passing the bill or not passing the bill, given how disliked it is. And so, but what you do hear from Republicans is they feel they have to do this, A, because they think it's a good idea to cut taxes, and also because their base will be so dispirited if they don't get anything done this first year.
All right, got to end it there. Thanks, Molly. We'll be right back.